When we arrived in the beautiful country of Haiti almost a year after the 7.0 earthquake, you couldn't help but see the scars left behind by the monumental events that took place last January. Everywhere we turned, homes lay in ruin and businesses destroyed, roads flooded. But even through the rubble, Haitians were desperately trying to regain some sort of normalcy. Haiti has seen a lot. Earthquakes, hurricanes, tropical storms, and most recently cholera. They have literally survived it all. And anyone you ask will tell you Haiti will survive this as well. We heard story after story, some have lost, like that of Pastor Christian Demero, who lost his 2 children. I'm still in shock remembering my 2 kids, says Pastor Christian Demero. One was 18 and the other was 21. One finished school early and was working towards her master's, and the other one, 18, was already in college. So even now, I'm still in shock. And stories of survival, like Charles, our driver. 25 years old, he is a university student and was in Port-au-Prince last January. In fact, this is the building he was in.
I was in a law firm here. I heard something passing outside. I thought it was a bulldozer passing around here.
Okay.
And after, the house started shaking.
Half of the building collapsed.
So God saved you.
I was fortunate.
He is one of the fortunate, escaping unscathed. But for millions of other Haitians, that's not the case. Everywhere you turn in Haiti, tents dot the landscape, cities within cities, which in some cases have turned into breeding grounds for crime.
Once the gem of the capital city of Haiti, Port-au-Prince, is the presidential palace, which now sits in ruins right behind me almost 9 months after the earthquake. And directly across the street is this tent city, one of many in Haiti. But the interesting thing about this is while we see tents on the outside along the street, there's a whole other story once we got inside.
We met Carlos when we were capturing visuals of the now destroyed presidential palace. He caught our attention when he mentioned to us that young girls were being forced to sell their bodies for sex in order to survive in the tent city across the street. He would know. He's one of the thousands living there.
So we saw tents out in the front, but there's no tents
in
the tent city.
The government put the tank in the front to blind the tourists. The people come, but inside is bad.
And so when it rains, like it just rained a while ago.
Come to see when they went, you see mud everywhere. You can see right here, you see mud. And little kids.
And people have been living like this for 9 months.
Yeah, we have.
As we walk through what once was a beautiful park that has now been transformed into this tent community, we came across a fountain. Obviously once a beautiful feature, it is now an eyesore, being used as a community dumping ground.
But where do they wash themselves?
They wash themselves here. They put some water, they stay right here. You can see right here. You can
in the basin.
They stay right here and they wash themselves, you know.
And never once have you seen a politician or anybody come through?
You're not going to see that. No politician.
Even though you're right across from the presidential palace.
You never see one. You see them in the TV. You know, in the TV. I hear every single day money come in this country, but I never see nothing change, you know. $1 million come in this country, you know, I never
So it's been 9 months, so you think you'll still be here next year when it's the 1-year anniversary?
Maybe 5 more here.
5 more years.
Maybe 5 more years.
The only clean water source comes from here, brought in by an NGO every couple of weeks. Never had I seen people living in such horrific conditions with no end in sight. Even those I spoke to who have traveled to refugee camps and IDP camps all over the world say the current situation in Haiti is much worse. So as we left Carlos and his community behind, the question quickly became, how can there be hope in this country when many of its citizens live in such poverty? Back in the car, Charles says he can't help but have hope for his country. And just like his survival story, he truly feels Haiti can bounce back as well.
Yes, I think there's hope for Haiti. Once we set that as a priority, once we set a goal and we struggle to realize it, I think there is hope and there can be change too. But for the change to be realized, we have to have a common goal, a common objective, a common vision.